I travel by night and I travel by day. I feel the breeze, I feel the call, and I see the gravel and the grass by the way. I hear birds and they're mating call. The toll on the road is a small price to pay, small price to pay for the saving of the race. And so I say, aye. People, what you waiting for? Take one and leave one and take it to go. Make a decision and get on the road. Open your vision for the sun to shine on. Bamboo and acorn and a letter I wrote. Big ones and small ones and a pipe for a toe. The rhythms of time is the horse I ride on. I travel by night and I travel by day. Feel the breeze, I feel the call, and I see the gravel and the grass by the way. I hear birds and they're mating call. The toll on the road is a small price to pay, small price to pay for the saving of the race. And so I say, aye. People, what you waiting for? Will there be raindrops and rainbows so clear? Perhaps some snow angels, maybe a bear. Anticipation in the heart casts a fog upon the road. How far till the train stop? I wish I was there. I glance at the paper just to be clear. All the coming and the going that will be once was foretold. I travel by night and I travel by day. Feel the breeze, I feel the call, and I see the gravel and the grass by the way. I hear birds and they're mating call. The toll on the road is a small price to pay, a small price to pay for the saving of the race. And so I say, aye. People, what you waiting for? Sha-na-na-na-no, sha-na-na-na-ne, sha-na-na-na-no, sha-na-na-na-ne, sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-no, sha-na-na-na-no, sha-na-na-na-ne, sha-na-na-na-no, sha-na-na-na-ne, sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-no. I travel by night and I travel by day. Feel the breeze, I feel the call, and I see the gravel and the grass by the way. I hear birds and they're mating call. The toll on the road is a small price to pay, a small price to pay for the saving of the race. And so I say, aye. People, what you waiting for?
In the den of iniquity, vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment, what a pity. Tomorrow never certain, what dwells behind the curtain, the face of evil lurking, with that shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble, that either pop or topple, many will fall and stumble, let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso, cannons could reach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Conditions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these your circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised. The battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.
Burn the wicked and burn out our warmonger. Hey, 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 hey. How is everyone doing out there in these YouTube streets? Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to get ish done. We are here to succeed, are we not? Shout out to Soul Provider. Shout out to 19 Bash. Or is it 19 Bash? Whatever it is, I-9 Bash. The I-9 freeway, highway, something. Little Rock in the house, carrying Korean in the house. Never hungry again. That must have been a really severe hunger for you to be like, never again. Never again. You're like, hell no, I don't care by hook or by crook, by any means necessary. We are here not to get hungry again. And this is apropos, is it not, to our topic? Our topic is overcoming that 80-20 rule, getting in that 1%, which means you got to get into 20% of the 80-20 and then get into the 20% of the 20 and repeat, 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 repeat until you get right out of the stratosphere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome to my channel. My name is Ike Ogiaman. Over here, we talk about being better and doing better with a strong emphasis on doing. Ladies and gentlemen, and what are we doing today? What are we doing today? We're going to have a conversation, are we not, Dr. K Polymath, about overcoming that 80-20 rule. This guy, you're so cringe. You're the educated lame that everyone complains about.
Hey, I'll have the only thing that's lame is in my dictionary is past my dictation.
Yeah, okay. You see, that's why you're lame. That is why you're lame, ladies and gentlemen. We're just gonna leave that one there. But let's start right with it because we're gonna get to the point of specific opportunities in the 21st century, okay, of how people can actually pick up skills, okay? We're gonna make, shall we say, projections, look at particular trends in various industries and how people can succeed and escape again the 80-20 rule, be in the 20% and then in the 20% of that 20% such that you get to the 1% and on and on. We're going to cover many things that have to do with that, but let's start from the beginning. What exactly is the 80-20 rule? Let's stay there for a while and let's elucidate, one of my favorite words, elucidate and illuminate that particular, shall we say, concept. What is the 80-20 rule vis-a-vis the topic today, ladies and gentlemen? What is that, K-Poly?
Yeah, so if you're aware of the manosphere, there's this saying, teaching, or sort of fundamental principles of dating, mating, and relationships that has been said by people in the white manosphere. Like what's that guy's name? The white guy who wrote that book. You know the guy's name. What's his name?
Rollo Tomasi.
Exactly, that guy. So, he goes out here and tells brothers out here saying, look, 80% of women date 20% of men. The thing is, this rule is not that strange to anything else. This rule actually transverses context. So it's the same thing at work, right? If you have an office, 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people. So meaning there is a, lack of equality in nature itself. Basically, most of the things that you deem important comes from a very select, minute, elite people known as the 20%. And this is natural. This is just how things are, right? You can move in several different contexts. That's just how it is. And we've known it to be a mathematical principle. So we're going to observe this in every endeavor that we try to seek.
Okay, you're going to observe this in every endeavor that we seek. Now, let me go ahead and just press you on that point a little bit. Now, the 80-20 rule it's not just this big 80%, 20%, right? It continues. In other words, the reason I said you got to be the 20% of the 20% as well, is
Right.
because of this particular instance. Let's go ahead and use that work example that you said, right? If we stay with that work example that you said, it is the case that, let's say there are 100 people at work, okay?
Right.
100 people at work, and 20% of them do about 80% of the work, right?
The work that is deemed
Am I?
useful. That's quite, yeah, there's a distinction there. Not the
They
work that
bring
is
in,
deemed
let's say,
useful.
let's say sales, for example. Okay,
Right.
20% of them are closing 80% of the deals, right? The
Right.
rest are, doing whatever they're doing, right?
Right.
20% of
But
them
the
are
thing
closing
is,
80% of the deals.
they
But
are needed.
but
That's the thing. Right.
everyone is needed, because you're not gonna. There is no
Right.
way of like, can I just get only the 20? Anyways, before we get there,
Right. You go on, because then now you create a
okay.
new structure where there's new 20% from that 20%.
So if you take the 20 people, and this is just dovetails with what you just said, right? So 20% of the people are closing 80% of the deals. Okay.
Right.
If you take that 20 people, there's another 80-20 rule there, which means 5 people are
Right.
closing 80% of that 80%, which, whatever. At that
Hmm.
point, we need not worry about what percentage that is of the total. But now we're down to 5 people. Real quick, can I get
I
a
guess
one
it's
in the chat
5%,
if
huh? Yeah. So,
quantitatively we're making sense? Can I get a one?
right. But
Young
the math
Swift
is
with his big
simple.
brain, we know Young Swift gets it. But can I get a one in the
Right.
chat? Basically, if we're saying, look, we started with 100 people. We said that 20% of people are closing 80% of the deals. But even within that 20%, the 80-20 rule still works. That means 5 people are closing 80% of that 80%, right?
Now that's
And if you then
5%.
go to that 5 people, one person,
That's
okay,
1%. So just two 20%, you
1%.
already in the 1%.
Two 20%, and you at 1%. Amongst 100 people, you quickly you realize that you could do the math to see what that one person is bringing. That one person is bringing a big chunk, right? First, you start with 20% bringing 80%. Next, then that 5 people bringing the 80 of that 80, and then one person
Hmm.
is responsible for 80 of that other 80, right?
Right.
So that is the rule. Is this related to the Pareto principle, by the way? Is that, or is that something
Yep.
else?
No. This is actually very close to the Pareto principle. You go into the Bible, it's called the Matthew principle. You have the other one, Pareto principle. They're very similar. Basically, in the Bible, let's go through that version. In Matthew, it talks about the Matthew principle, right? To those who have been given a lot shall be given more to them. And, I'm paraphrasing really badly here. And those who have not have so much, even that small will be taken from them and given to the ones that have much more. There's a point to this, right? People that tend to get more, right? If you have money, you tend to make money much more easily. Again, we're assuming that you're competent. We're not talking about losers out here, right? Not people who are going to gamble the money away badly and then lose it. We're talking about people with a general soberness to their attitude. If you have more, you're going to get more. People who tend to have less tend to actually make less. So, yeah, it's a 80-20 rule. It moves and transverses through all different spaces. The issue here is that for an organization, you're not going to basically only employ the 20% and then magically be better. What you're going to hope is that within the 20% that you're trying to employ, that the 1% of that 20% is going to be far greater than the company that doesn't try to figure that out. I hope that's making sense.
Hmm.
You still get the
So,
fodder. Right, go ahead.
so can you
Okay, so
reiterate that last point? You said like you compared it to another company. What did this other company not figure out?
yeah. So let's say you have two companies out there. One company thinks, oh look, okay, I need to just go and get only the 20%. So I'm gonna win. The other company says, okay, look, I'm still gonna get the 80-20 rule, even within the 20% that I'm trying to figure out. What I need to now focus on is that 1% of that 20% and try to get
Hmm.
loads of them. Companies like Hilti do this kinds of thing, right? They try to get the 1% to be working for them, and they end up making a lot of sales and bringing a lot of money from contracts and selling their the machines that they build or put together. So they try to utilize it 1% rather than actually trying
Hmm.
to get somehow a whole inclusive 20%. Put it this way: if you have a team of alphas, right? Imagine you have 20 alphas. The moment you put them in a group circumstance, those alphas will slowly basically kneel towards the other new alpha. But if you separate them, there will be alphas in their own right. People just
Hmm.
generally kind of fall into some kind of line hierarchical structure. They lose their ability to make their own decisions and that individuality. So that's part of it.
Hmm. Shout out to Blind the guy, his wife, their life, for the $20 super chat. Okay, that puts you in that sponsorship category, and you guys should definitely go ahead if you have not already done so. Subscribe, subscribe to their channel. Okay, they put out good, informative, and entertaining shows out there. Okay, if you want random freestylings from the styling of Corey,
Sterling,
I always, I
money
always,
guy.
always want to say Curry, but it's Corey, not Curry. Um, shout out. Thank you very much for sponsoring the show. Very important. Okay, cool. So we're starting to get the picture, which is, no matter how you want to slice it, you're going to get the 80-20 rule. Okay.
Yep.
And you just gave an example, which people can understand, which is, oh, yeah, go ahead and pick all those alphas. And when you put them together, one it's going to be some 5% or
Yeah.
1% alpha that's going to come out. That's going to be,
Yep.
that's going to, the others are going to kind of
And then
kneel
the issue
to,
is
if you will.
if you put now sigma males, right? And by sigma I mean your type, basically the guys who have alpha capabilities, but don't necessarily want to be doing that kind of group interaction and leadership role. The issue then there it will be a misfit. Imagine those football teams. By football I mean soccer, right? Or any kind of sports team. If you put the LeBron James, what's the other guy called? Stephen Curry. You put what's the other guy? Michael Jordan and whatever Pippins. You put all these great players together, it does not mean it's going to be a good team. If they're all individualistic people who want to be the top of that game, what will actually tend to happen is there'll be chaos. Most likely, again, there's potential for things to work out, but generally speaking, you need people to conform in order for cohesion to occur and for you to actually win in the game. So you can't even just choose the best and then put them together. But now, if you choose the best, but make them work individually, that's a different thing. That's now how you start to escape that 20-80-20 rule. Let's say, it's a single sport and you choose it top single people that don't necessarily have to work together. Now, that is when you start to escape that rule.
Indeed, 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 indeed. So yeah, the kind of people with the alpha tendencies, but they are too cool for school or whatever. Okay. Now we promised, did we not, in the title that there is going to be practical points. We're going to elucidate the landscape of how to actually do this because there's too much talk. Okay, because I've just noticed. Okay, in my industry, shout out to MOT, which is another thing that he complains about. He is out there, okay, and he's out there in Denver or Dallas or wherever he may be, and people pay him gobs of money to give out the game about the transportation industry. Now, MOT is hell, you're like definitely 1% in the United States, right?
Yeah,
He's
obviously. In the world, is 0.1%.
in the world, definitely. MOT was talking about making like $300,000 last week or something. Okay, okay, you know, yeah, he's moving heavy machinery out there in the military industrial complex. That's his clique, right? And over there, when when you're in with those contracts,
Yep.
we know how that works. Right? That's the money just flows. Okay, but he's out here in this space in YouTube, and he cannot give away for free the stuff that people are paying him gobs of money for to teach, right? I'm talking about the teaching part now. So he's making money. He's got a transportation business, okay, trucks and stuff like that, and in the military kind of industrial complex. And he's also giving information to people, and people pay top dollar for it. But over here, people are like, whatever, right? Which is ridiculous, okay? And but maybe it's not time yet for me to start getting heated, okay? But the point is, I've also he expresses his frustration as to the fact that people don't just do the simple crap, right? Like get your
Mhm.
CDL and then do this and then do this and then do this. I'm in the
construction industry writ large, right? So everything from the actual building construction of the core and the shell, right? The digging of the foundation, so the rebar and all that kind of stuff, all the way through to HVAC and the electrical systems and the plumbing systems. Forget buildings. Go to pharmaceutical facilities. Go to refineries, right? Whether it's tanks or offshore drilling or whatever it may be, the construction industry stuff has to come together, right? There's so many different fields of expertise in that industry for which you can get certifications, which is something we'll get into, right? And you could just make gobs and gobs of money, not just working for somebody, which is where you have to start and then get the skill, but then you put up your own shingle, right? Young Swift mechanical contractors, Young Swift HVAC, whatever it may be, that it is insane that people don't take advantage of this to escape that 80-20 situation. Meanwhile, they want to complain about, and here's another 80-20 thing, or no, it's a Pareto principle thing, whereby inflation actually affects the bottom. You know that, right? K Polymath. Inflation does not
Yeah.
affect the top.
No.
Let me explain what that is. Inflation does not affect people with assets, because what happens to
Well,
your
what's
assets?
inflation?
They inflate.
Right.
Inflation is the, okay, basically the dollar or your currency, your fiat currency gets devalued by people printing more because it can be arbitrarily printed, right? So when
Yep.
supply increases, the value of something goes down, right? So the supply of dollars come in and the value goes down. But the things that are denominated in that currency, such as your assets, right? Your assets, the value of them inflate, right?
Yep.
Because your asset was $10,000 last year. Now it's now $20,000. Okay, but guess who doesn't have assets? Guess who
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
have
the
assets? The bottom doesn't have assets. So from those whom have, more shall be
you
given. For
say the
those who do not
bottom
have,
doesn't
even the
have
little that
assets.
they do have will be taken away from them. This is why you're lame, and you're the educated lame again with your silly little cringe jokes. But for those who have, more shall be given. And inflation is just another manifestation of the Pareto principle, okay? So the point is, people want to complain about inflation, and they want to complain about their meager $50,000 a year that they're making as the median or the mode or the mean or whatever kind of middle crap that they're on. But there's so many opportunities to take advantage of. I just mentioned one particular industry. People need to build stuff, okay? And they're going to continue to need to build stuff. And the whole HVAC or electrical or plumbing aspect, people are going to continue to need to, change their HVAC in the gymnasium of the school or the next apartment building or so on and so forth. There's so much opportunity. But let's take a step back, K Polymath. Maybe we could start somewhere. Let's look at the landscape in terms of the 21st century. What are some trends that you might see that some people can take advantage of? Before we get to the more nitty gritty, shall we say, practical certifications, which I don't think some people understand. It's like some people's ears are blocked over here, right? Well, we know their ears are blocked because, if we were talking about POGs or something else, they'll be over here in droves talking about, yeah, do the blah, blah, and all these freaking dumbasses. But for those whom happen to stumble into this conversation, half blind, let's talk about some trends that people can take advantage of, because, for example, one trend is AI, right? AI is not going to take away the jobs in the construction industry, is it? But
No, no way.
take it away. Take it away. Take it away.
Yeah. So, okay, people have this idea of the middle class life. People want to put themselves in boxes that make no sense. They're proud to be middle class, or rather, they're proud to want to be middle class. You're supposed to want to be at the 1%. Shaming the 1% doesn't make sense. They're still the 1%. You're the one that's actually suffering out there. You should want to be the 1% or even beat the 1%, not just be them. So, yeah, when it comes to out here trying to do better, be better, and looking at this 80-20 rule, is that the rule exists. You can either try to be this middle class thing out there trying to get everyone else to stop working on the weekends, right? I remember this, people writing tweets saying let's normalize not working in the weekends. Now, if you're equally intelligent, let's say Young Swift and Dr. Thunder are equally intelligent, but Dr. Thunder says, you know what, I'm going to work on the weekends. Statistically speaking, Dr. Thunder is going to do better, right? If Dr. Thunder is out here exposing himself to certifications, thinking, okay, you know what, I can play the guitar to a level 8, in some random scale. I can play the piano, I can play the saxophone, etc. What he's going to do next is going to get certified within the body that controls certification, and that's going to allow him to basically able to market himself as a teacher, lecturer, or musician in a way that's going to put him above his peers, especially when the certification is kind of grueling and tough. This makes you able to go and market your skills in a far more professional ways. What that means is automatically you are now able to compete with big companies because you're doing the same service that they can provide, especially now that you no longer need what the big companies have, which is a physical building for people to come in and request services. Everything can be done through online accounts like an email and a website. No one actually has to come to your office. All you need to have is the certifications and the legal proceedings that say, you know what, I'm Aiko Giamen, I'm a professional engineer. This is my company. This is services I can provide. This is how much it costs. You're now already competing with the 0.1%. And now you're entering into the 1%, just simply by getting a professional engineering license. So in Dr. Thander's case, a professional teaching license, like a PhD, for example, in his case. I'm a PhD.
So, yeah, you are a PhD as well, aren't you? Now, let's. Okay, so you have someone with a license right now. I have 3 licenses. That's because it's in 3 states. I'm in the process of getting a few more states. I have a whole kind of start from the west and push inland towards the east strategy. I have covered the West Coast so far. I have a professional engineering license in California, Washington, and Oregon. I'm going to go for Colorado and Nevada and some other. I'm going to start taking the West, the whole of the West, generally speaking. So, what kind of questions do you have for me? Let's say now, I'm not asking people to go do this professional engineering thing because you might want to. Okay, but in the construction industry, that is kind of like the if you really want to grind your, you really want to go out there and really scratch your brain, or you really want to get all white collar with it and really sweat, blood, sweat, and tears, then you could do that, right? Um, I didn't want, but you don't have to. But since we're just talking about certifications, of which it's not just a degree, right? I have my master's in engineering, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the professional engineering license, different from your degree. Okay. So, what questions would you ask me, for example? And let's say somebody's out there saying, okay, well, I don't know. What questions will somebody have, K Polymath? Let's do some role playing, if you will.
Yeah. So let's ask a few questions to see how people can actually get there. So, what led you into first taking the master's degree? Why were you not simply satisfied with taking the bachelor's of engineering, or is it science? Doesn't matter. Your bachelor's degree.
Okay. So I got the bachelor's degree 2008. 2008, famously, if anyone remembers, some may remember,
Yeah.
some may not,
Some,
uh, everything crashed really hard, okay, in terms of the market. It was another one of those, real estate in particular. It was the whole housing bubble. The housing bubble exploded. Okay, first it was 9/11, things got a little shaky, and then 7 years later, 2011 hit. Sorry, 2008 hit.
yeah.
Housing bubble crashed.
Which I never got though, because it doesn't make sense. I mean, house is a commodity that's basically going to the space and the land occupied. It's always going to keep going up, and the population keeps increasing. It didn't quite make sense why people, really looked at it as if it's an issue. The houses have gone back up even more than it was in that time in most cities by this point. So
Okay.
that's an
If we
interesting one.
wanted to have a conversation about the rehypothecation, is what it doesn't even make any sense. I don't think that's actually a real word. It's the banking industry that use it. Like rehypothecation. What is that? But anyways,
I don't know.
this is about people taking risk and bundling it together and selling it to AIG and this, that, and the other. It's about the financialization of things. It's not about actual space
Right.
with bricks on it. Okay. So the whole housing market, the financialization of it, go watch all the various movies that are out there about it, right? That thing happened. definitely affected the construction industry big time. It affected the, shall we say, tendency or desire for people to put capital in, right? To build either infrastructure or build new office spaces, housing, and all that kind of stuff. So finding the job was tough. Okay, forget that. Look, I actually had a job at Caltrans, right? Because I started working right before I graduated. Because I was lucky a little bit, and I'm quite good at an interview. If I can be, I can. There's some things. There's no point to say that. I got a job, a very cushy job, and by cushy I mean a good, prestigious job with the California State of Transportation in their bridge department. Okay, and California, bridges, seismic. This is where you want to be when it comes to the cutting edge of design of bridges in seismic regions. Earthquakes, right? Earthquakes is what I mean by seismic. But, anyways, long story short, I was still within the furlough period. Okay. There's a furlough period for that job of a year, 1 year.
Wow.
Okay.
That's
Because after that, it's
like
almost impossible for them to get rid of
you
you.
mean probation, right? To other
Sorry,
people who may
probation
not.
period. Probation period. So after 2008 hit, after the whole thing, then they started furloughing us, right? Reducing the hours. And then because of some circumstances, which I don't need to get into completely at this point, maybe I'll make another podcast about it, I got let go. Okay. You're asking me the question, why did I get my master's degree? And I'm telling you that okay, I got the bachelor's degree. I got the good job. However, it was a shaky market at that time. Boom, I got let go. Try to find a job, could not find a job. I I still have a folder full of cover letters and resumes, right? Because when you interview, I have all these different cover letters, like this one for the petroleum industry, this one is for this other industry, this other industry. Just I was trying, could not get a job. I had savings and I was still staying. Look, you know what happened? I had to move back with my mom. Yes. But in order to
So you were living
justify
in
that,
a basement, huh?
I was a basement dweller, not quite covered in Cheeto dust. Maybe I was covered in so maybe somebody may know about Two-Buck Chuck. Two-Buck Chuck is a wine called Charles Shaw. It's a $2 wine. It was Trader Joe's used to specialize in it. Okay, that was my thing. But anyways, I had to move back in with my mom. Okay, but I'm like, okay, while I'm out here trying to get this job thing going, let me go and get my master's degree because it's going to help me differentiate myself, okay, from the rest of the pack. Now,
So
the thing about the
basically,
license is, yes, go ahead.
before we go into the license, so the first step you did here is you noticed that now you got the first job because of your verbal prowess. You are eloquent. You're verbose. You're very good at speaking and being able to sell yourself. You're a good marketer. You're able to convince people that you're good for the job, and you had that state type job, which was a government type job, right? I'm guessing Caltrans. So it might be privatized under certain circumstances, but still it is working with government sort of thing. So it's a pretty nice gig. The thing is, you notice that it's not so stable because you're just like every other person there, and you wanted to differentiate yourself by getting the masters. That now what this meant is you're no longer in the 80%. You're now getting into the 20% because 20% of people who have degrees have masters. Right, so you're already going into the 20% there just by doing
Indeed,
that degree.
indeed. Yes. So I applied for it, and I remember one of the hardest things I ever did intellectually was that not the whole thing, but there was a
Hmm.
particular couple of courses in structural dynamics where things just get a little crazy. The matrix algebra kind of just runs away with you, and you know when you have to use the I stuff raised e raised to the I pi. You know what I'm talking
Talk
about,
about
right?
imaginary numbers and
Yeah,
stuff.
hmm
Yeah,
hmm
yeah,
the
I
same
understand.
mathematics for that they do in quantum mechanics, and because of that, actually, I went and studied via YouTube this ITT or whatever, this Indian university
Indian
with great
Institute
YouTube
of
videos.
Technology. Right.
Yes, I studied quantum mechanics because I was like, oh, this is the same math for quantum mechanics, right? So I went and
Right.
I looked at it, and but getting the concepts was really, really tough. Okay. So I did that while looking for a job. Boom, I was lucky. I landed a job in the petrochem industry. And anyone knows about the petrochem industry, there's a lot of money, but it's also booms and busts
Yeah.
in
So
the sense that, go ahead.
before we go on, shout out to Black Heights, advancing your career for the $20 super chat. Don the Rich Fund, donating to the Rich Fund. Yeah, thanks a lot. We appreciate it. Shout out to everyone listening to the podcast on doing better, being better, and shout out to Kyoto, our number one sponsor for the
Damn.
show, with the
Damn.
$50 super sticker. I hope you keep sticking around over here and getting more from us.
This guy, man. Thank you. Yeah, this Kyoto is another person in the construction industry. Well, he is in the drafting industry, is an architect, such and such. So
Nice.
I got a job in the petrochem industry. Okay, I got the hookup. A buddy of mine, Miguel, whom was already in the petrochem industry. Miguel came right out of school. First salary was like 90,000, I think, and this was like in 2008, right?
Right.
Miguel has a way of just kind of getting money out of people. Long story short, yeah, that's a different story, but he has never stopped. He came out right out of school, got that 90K, and has not stopped since 2008 to just hop around and continue to double up on that money. But anyways, I got that job. Now, the reason I went for the master's is because I could not go for the certificate
Professional.
yet.
Right.
Because you need experience in order to qualify to take the exam. Okay.
And to
so
get
you
experience,
need to have,
you wanted to put the master's degree so you can differentiate yourself, get yourself more work and experience, and then
also
even
the master's degree counts for 1 year of experience.
Right. I see.
Yeah. So the master's degree counts for 1 year of experience. So I'm like, okay, before I get a job, okay, maybe I can use this.
Get
Okay,
guaranteed
this, that, and the
experience
other.
from this.
Okay, 1 year. Okay, but you need a bit. I think it's 3 years or something like that, right? I forget now. It's been a while since I got it, but 1 year of experience. In the second year of the master's, I was able to get a job in the petrochem industry at Ickley Engineers at Long Beach. Okay, woo, great. So I went back into the design world. Okay, and by the way, the whole time, there's something I kept all my files that I did in my internships. You have paid internships in engineering, which, and this is why you should do STEM, ladies and gentlemen, or something that's useful. If you're gonna go the white collar route, do STEM. Okay. Somebody else might tell you to do some other thing, but so long as the principle still applies. What's the principle? The principle is utility, usefulness. Don't go get in student loan debt for political science, unless your dad is George Soros or something, and you just need to get a liberal arts degree so you can become a well-refined gentleman so you can take over the family business. There's a place for that too, okay? And unless you're going to Harvard to do that kind of thing where you go meet people, right? And then you and your buddies later can take over the world. If you're not doing that, then
people that
go ahead.
do an English literature degree and end up working for Wells Fargo as a financial analyst, I'm sure you know those kinds of people.
Yeah.
Completely irrelevant qualification, yet they end up there because they have the connections. If you want to make your life harder, go ahead. But look at yourself, analyze your reality. Go ahead.
100%. 100%. So I got this job and I started getting that experience. But there's a lot of boom and bust, as I was mentioning, in the petrochem industry, okay? In the sense that, hey, Saudi Arabia decides to build this new something or some big Saudi Arabian oil company decides to build something in Jakarta, Indonesia, right? And Fluor, one of the big kind of construction companies out there in the petrochem world, they decide, okay, cool, we're gonna get this contract, and then Parsons and all these other companies, right? There's like 5 of them, 5 major players that everybody rotates through. They just hire up people. So they hire up people, 2 years, they lay them off. Okay, so you work at Fluor for 2 years, and then the next year 2 years later you go to Parsons, 2 years later maybe go to Ickley Engineers, And then, oh, you go back to floor. So everybody knows each other. There's a kind of a rotation. You get paid well. You get paid well, but it's boom and bust. So I got in, it was great. Okay. This is when I got that Cadillac CTS-V, black, got the rims and everything. Really stupid move. Well, not a stupid
At the
move
time,
in a certain sense. At the time, it was a stupid move. I shouldn't have done that. But I knew I was going to keep the car, which I still have, and it still has less than 100,000 miles, even since then, because it was just. I think I've shown the car before online. There was something about that car that I just kind of knew was going to remain futuristic looking for a while. So it's like a concept car of mine. Like, I don't drive that car. I drive a Ford Escape, company branded Ford Escape. Got the company logo on the side, right? Because why should I drive my little sweet cat? I drive the Cadillac every once in a while, when I want to do some fancy crap. But anyways, that's a long story. I got the gig, okay, and then I got the experience. I started immediately studying once I got the 1 year. I was in the petrochem industry for about 2.5 years. Once I got that 1 year, started studying for the test, got the qualifications, you need like several professional engineers to
So
sign
let me ask you a question.
for you, and so on and so forth. Go ahead.
How did you know that there is such a thing as a professional engineering license to begin with? What got you into that? As in, what mindset allowed you to discover that there's such a thing? Many engineers don't actually know that there's such a thing as a license. There's a qualified engineering status, which many know about, but the license and all that stuff, many just kind of don't stumble into it.
It's actually another 20% thing. I think only about 20% or less of engineers that actually have a degree get the PE license. Okay. Again, how do you overcome the 80-20 rule? Is you gotta, there are easy ways, right? In other words, like, check this box, walk into this door, and you're not part of the 20%. That's what I did when I got the master's. And that's what I did also when I was going for the, shall we say, the PE license. Now, the question is, how did I know? Okay. This was not hidden information. Okay. They were not trying to hide it from people. But here's what I knew, which was there are two parts to it. You need to get the EIT, which is the engineering training. Okay. And then you need to hold that EIT for 2 years and have the experience. There are many rules to it. That's why people tend not to get it. Okay.
Right.
People tend not to get it because you got to do certain things. What I knew was you got to get that EIT while you're still in college. In other words, the final year of your college, because that's when you can at least take it and hope to pass it. Right. Why? Because if you graduate, okay, and then you attempt to go back, because the EIT, you got to take chemistry and physics, and then there's this general engineering courses of the strength of materials and statics and dynamics. You got to take all these things. If you don't take it while you're still in school, you're going to forget it all. Okay? This is something that I knew, okay, cool. And let me put it this way. It's not secret knowledge. And I've always been the kind of person who always looks for the next step. What's the next thing I got to do? What's the next thing I got to
But
do?
how did you know
What's the
that
next thing
there's
I got
an
to do?
advantage of actually acquiring the professional engineering license? And were you aware
Interesting.
of the significance of that advantage, or did you think it was marginal?
Okay. There were two things. The one thing is what I just described personality wise, which, having understood that it was no secret, right? And everybody that was getting that engineering degree knew, oh, are you taking your EIT for, the at that graduating year? And I took the EIT and I passed the first time, which was great, by the way.
Nice.
And it it was crazy because Miguel and I decided that it's an 8-hour test. Okay, the EIT is, and you do the first 4 hours, and then you go in, you do the second 4 hours. The first 4 hours is general science kind of stuff, and then the last 4 hours you pick. Do I want to do structural engineering, geotechnical engineering, environmental engineering, right? That kind of thing. So after the first 4 hours, okay, this is a little confession here. We're being candid, right? We're being candid. Miguel and I decided to. Miguel's like, you know what? I have a little roach. Shout out to the potheads out there. And you're like, in the middle of this freaking test, right? Because this is just how crazy I am. We decided to go. Smoke a little weed, and then we came back, but I passed anyways. And this was This was at least like 2007, right? So yes, 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 yes. I was a little crazy, but the first aspect to answer your question is that I was just the kind of person that wanted to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. But I remember I was at a party in about 2010 while I was getting my master's degree. I was at a party in Southern California, okay? And there was this guy, he was there. And I remember I had a black suit and a red tie on. I've always liked to dress sharp, okay? This is not a recent thing, ladies and gentlemen. And this guy told me, he's an engineer, right? Older gentleman, white hair, you know. And I got introduced to the guy. I was like, oh yeah, Ike's an engineer too. And I told him, oh yeah, I'm getting my master's degree. And he just said, get your PE, okay? He didn't have to say much more. I didn't ask why either, okay? He just said, get your PE, right? And I remember that guy. Now there were other things, there were other reasons. Oh, well, I know that when you get your PE, you can therefore stamp things, and every engineering outfit needs a PE. Otherwise, everything doesn't really matter. You can engineer the stuff to death. You can do all the calculations and do the drawings, but somebody has to stamp it.
So let's give
Right?
some context here for everyone to kind of know what we're talking about. A PE stamp is a bit similar to, let's say, pharmaceutical companies. They have to get some stamp accredited by the state in order to actually approve certain drugs or even research into certain drugs or things like that. So people with these sort of licenses or institutions with them, quality control. That's what we're talking about here. Quality control. So if we're trying to, expand it, pardon my COVID, if we're trying to expand this to kind of help everyone in this case is whatever field you're in, try to get a certification. For example, if you're in accounting, get the accounting practice accreditation certificate with whichever state or country that you live in. Get it. What it allows you to do is allows you to practice as a full qualified accountant and start your own firm with certain kind of promising people certain things. You can do it anyways in certain places without having it, but you're kind of limited somehow, right? So if you're in whatever industry you're in, try to get the accreditation so that you can carry things out by yourself and you could technically start your own firm. You could start a company by yourself simply just by having this certification. Then you just expand, you hire people, and you keep growing from there. So go ahead, Ike.
Yeah, and also, even if you decide to work for somebody, specifically, let's say within the engineering field, you can ask for a raise once you get that
Yes,
PE.
right.
Same thing when you get the EIT as well, because they give you the EIT raise because they're trying to incentivize you towards getting the PE. Why do they care about you getting the PE? Because the number of they can use you. They can say, hey, in their marketing, right? We have 12 registered professional engineers in our blah blah blah. You get what I'm saying?
It's even more than that, right? Because now you're actually operating within the 1% for this company. Why? You end up saving them so much more money than the raise that they're giving you. Because if they went to another professional engineer with a license, they're going to have to pay them considerably far more money, but they have you on retainer, basically, more or less. You work for them,
Exactly.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now this is how you
Mm-hmm.
escape the 80% and you go into the 1%. Is now you're bringing value just by being there. There's going to be a time, maybe it's just once or twice in that year, depending on the kind of company. They're going to need you to stamp something for them, and
Mm-hmm.
they're going to win. You're going to win by being given a much higher salary in general, and the potential, if you seek it, to go and start your own gig. So this is the steps that you're going to be able to overcome the 80%. Now, if you want that middle class life, watching news, CNN and Fox saying, the middle class is hard and this and that, you're going to get stuck there. It doesn't really matter if
You're
the
gonna
middle
get
class is
yeah.
hard. You shouldn't be aiming to be staying in the
I
middle class.
knew the middle class was hard when I was broke in college, and then when I was broke again, moved back in with my mom. I knew the middle class was hard, but I also knew that there were all these signposts everywhere saying, "Go through this door, and you can become in the 20." And then when you're within that 20, here's another door that differentiates you to put you in the 5% now. And then here's another door to put you in the 1%. It was not complicated. But I remember those conversations, such as the one I had at that party, where it was barely a conversation. The guy just said, get the PE. And it kind of clicked. It's just one of those moments, right? When you're like, this guy knows something. There's a reason,
Yeah.
because I was getting my master's and he was like, yeah, okay. Like, so it was almost, he didn't say this, but almost like, okay, sure, master's is fine, but make sure you get the PE, right? So for the reasons we just
There's a
described,
point
right?
here
Oh,
actually
go
that you
ahead.
just mentioned that is quite significant. Is sure, study, right? Get your basic foundational degree, get your bachelor's. Even today, I'll still recommend, if it's a useful bachelor's like medicine, STEM, go get it. Why do I say it? Because it does help you kind of learn to think and overcome certain challenges on thinking properly. However, you got to keep your mind open. What we have to focus on is, well, why are we doing the degree, right? Is it because we want to get education? You can get it on free online, right? No, it's because you want to get the qualification at the end. You want to get a certificate that says you're a Bachelor of Engineering, you're a Bachelor of Commerce, you're Masters of Business Administration. You want to get that certificate. That's what opens doors for you. So today, let's give some examples of what brothers and sister out here might want to do in order to actually go ahead. You might not be an engineer. Most of us over here are not engineers. Some of us here don't have any technical skills because we didn't take that pathway. So what examples are there that we can reach the 1%? Okay, we can give some of them. AWS.
Hold on one
Go
second,
ahead.
because somebody you see, I'm assuming you see the comment on
Yep.
the right, but
Yep.
let me make one statement which we'll probably circle back to, right? Which is, the story is not complete. You really want to bust through the door, okay, of the 1% and then just keep on going, is you gotta then take that PE license, because trust me, a lot of people have the PE license, but they don't actually start practicing for themselves. Okay, so again, 20% of engineers get the PE license. Okay, now a lot of them only get it in one state. What I do is I've have it in 3 states now, so I cover the West Coast. The West Coast is seismically active. I have a niche little entry in there to be a seismic specialist, right? And I'm actually practicing for myself, meaning I had to get into the marketplace with those soft skills, close deals, start a company in 2014, Prometheus Engineering. And that's when the meteoric rise actually starts to or begins. But we'll get to the whole point of your shingle, which was a different conversation. The shingle meaning just your storefront, you starting something, because it's not just about getting that stuff. And I started it while I was working the 9 to 5. If you're a man and you're doing, you're complaining about 60 hours of work, if you're a young man, okay, and you're like 60 hours, or you're doing your 40 hours and you can barely make it, shout out to Kevin Samuels. He always says that, like 60 is a minimum. Okay.
Yep.
So I don't care if you're doing, and engineers out there just doing the regular cubicle stuff. We work a lot of hours, right?
Yep.
Just being a basic engineer. But still, I was like, okay, now I got this PE. Immediately I got the PE. I got the PE in 2014. I started Prometheus Engineering in 2014. I wasn't waiting around, right?
Yep.
Anyways, go to the AWS thing that you were saying, because it dovetails with the question here on this web area of things.
Yeah. So shout out to Black Caterpillar. What about web development? Is there a certificate? Well, web development is a big field, but there are certificates within that field, which some of them are even less technical, that are going to help you out with your endeavors. So let's create a situation over here. And this is all real, as in you can do everything that I'm saying and you will go ahead with this. Now, in the space of like web development and, service, what you can do is you can get something called AWS or Microsoft Azure. That's a different thing. So 80% of the market, right, in web development and data storage is occupied by Amazon Web Services. So what is it, Amazon Web Services? It's basically the database server handlers. Amazon basically handles majority of service. And in fact, Ike, doesn't your company help, work with certain things, or is it non-disclosable?
Well, you have to sign NDAs, right? You have to sign
Right.
non-disclosure agreements when you do
Fair
data
enough.
centers, right? But you can say that you work on data centers, right? And
Okay.
whether it be Amazon, in
Microsoft
particular
or
Amazon, Microsoft, also Verizon. Okay,
Right.
these installations need to be safe against the earthquakes. Okay,
Right. So
when the earthquakes happen, you cannot have. It's not just a case of the building has to stay put. It's not just the building, okay? Because think about the building. The building is more or less kind of solid, right? But when that building is shaking, this building is filled with servers, cable trays with heavy conduits on them.
yep, sharp
You're
objects.
talking about all, yes. Forget the fact that these things don't have to fall and kill somebody. You cannot have an interruption in the service.
Yeah,
Okay.
because now you're going to lose
So,
data. This is a whole data center. So without a
exactly.
structural
So it's
engineer making sure it actually is seismically inactive when things are going around, all the data out here is going to be lost. YouTube runs with the data center, right? That's why it's quite fast. They use probably, I'm guessing, Amazon Web Services out there because it's the best and it covers 80% of the market. So what we're trying to say here is, you look, there's a flow in this whole thing. Ike's company out here develops structurally sound drawings in order to make sure that these data centers work properly. And Black Caterpillar, if you want to work and get a certificate in Amazon Web Services. It's not that technical. There is rules on how to use it. It's just a software that you use. What you can do is you set up your company, and that company is to migrate. Let's say I make a website. I have a small company, right? But I have so much people coming to my website. Let's say it's a blog. Now I need to actually have a bigger hoster. So the host, you act as a middleman. So what you do is you connect Young Swift's company, and then you put it into the Amazon Web Service model, and then you charge them for the fee of transferring and migrating their data onto Amazon Web Services. There's also Microsoft Azure that's also out there. So the point here is you focus on these things. So you can get a certificate in Amazon Web Services. Starting salary in America is about $120,000 a year because the market is there. Everything is data at this point, especially now that we have data science as well. That's now a growing field. So you're never going to go wrong here because this is the future. Everything is data. So get your certification in Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure, and you're guaranteeing yourself a huge salary every single year. You're already a six-figure man, as they say, right? And it takes less than 6 months to get this certificate. If you're smart enough and diligent enough, you get it in 3 months. Just 3 hours study every single day for 3 months. And you could create your own website and give the service. No one ever has to see your face. You just go on meetings. There's a lot of ways to go around this. You don't need qualification necessarily. It helps if you want to work for a company. Of course, if you have prerequisite abilities to kind of sell yourself and market, in a shared zeitgeist, ability to kind of show that you're a refined gentleman or woman, but in reality, get the certificate.
Indeed, get the certificate. Get the certificate. Get the certificate. People go to the web thing quite quickly. I guess it's the general zeitgeist, right? In the construction industry that I've been mentioning, I said that, hey, you can go the engineer way, right? But you guys have already seen the kind of craziness that it takes. And, you don't want to do calculus 3 and 4 and differential equations. Maybe you don't want to do that. And maybe you don't want to then get the master's and then do maybe you don't want to do that. But guess what? Okay. The electrician, the HVAC people, the electrician people that are putting up those cable trays and putting up those servers in the Amazon data centers, these big electrician companies, they need certified electricians. They need certified HVAC people, because these particular places need special cooling. Okay, they have the hot aisle containment and cold aisle containment. These servers need to be cooled, right? You understand that.
Of course.
Forget buildings and your apartment and your office and all that kind of stuff. We stick with the data center where Young Swift is doing the programming, right? And Ike has done the seismic engineering. Okay,
right.
You can go to a community college, become a carpenter or a electrician or a HVAC tech, right? Okay,
right.
We're just looking at that one building. Okay, there are many things going on in that building with many people with certifications that need to be there. And guess what? You can get into that 6 figures really quick being an HVAC tech. And guess
Yeah.
what? Make sure you get that certification as well so that
Yep.
you can start to, in the weekends, do your own stuff by yourself.
Yeah, so I want to respond to a couple of things. So first, we'll go and respond to Dr. Thunder, and all of this is true. However, there are innumerable people with all the degrees and certification are still broke, though. Thoughts? Okay, so this is actually a very, very good comment there. We'll start with that. Some people actually get the certification in the wrong thing. They're not following the money. You have to follow the money trail, right? If you get a certification in a course that doesn't actually have a market, you should never be the kind of person say, "Oh, business is slow for a prolonged period of time." If business is slow for a prolonged period of time and you've done everything in order to get more business, you got to, change strategy or figure out, is this business actually there or not? That's one thing. Another thing is a lot of people are not lazy enough. Maybe they haven't been watching the podcast you and Ike do about doing better, being better, getting ish done. So their mindset isn't even there yet in order to actually do things. So this advice is for people who are ready to actually act on the advice and are willing to actually put themselves forward. If we go back to Chacha Boy, thanks a lot for the $5 super chat. We really appreciate it. Ike, if you had to start over from $0, what would you do? Did you not start from $0, Ike, when you came to America as a young Nigerian boy?
Yeah, this is interesting. There are many things that are interesting about this. So I've interviewed a couple of times the president of American Heritage University, and his family story is also quite similar in the sense of it's an immigrant story. He's mom came over with 25 cents, not quite $0, right? A quarter.
Okay, 25 cents. Really?
25 cents.
Yeah. How would they even get quarter into exchange? I don't know.
It was 25. It was because the folklore is actually true, but it was 25 naira she came with, and it was 100.
But you're not going to exchange that though. That was even really $0. You can't get an exchange for that. Yeah,
she came in with zero. I understand the question because the question is about knowing what I know now and that kind of a thing.
Right.
Here's one thing that I know now. What I know now is that whatever you want, someone else has it. In the sense that people and people, what do I want? Is money. Okay? There's someone who is close to that money.
Right.
Okay? I'm going to immediately start asking the question, who's got my money? Okay? Right. So what's the name of the person who asked the Cha-Cha Boy? Good name.
Yeah.
Cha-Cha Boy, what I'm going to be asking immediately is, who's got my money? Okay? And I'm going to follow the trail just like we followed the trail with that data center and say, okay, what is whom can I get in front of right now and offer help to, right? That has my money. Notice I call it my money. It's not their money. It's my money. Who's got my money? And you can't make money. It's illegal to make money. It's illegal to make money, right?
Shout out to Joan for manifesting. Go ahead.
It's illegal to make money. You just got to go collect it. You can't go print money. You can't make money, man. You didn't get the joke? Damn, you're slow today. You're not quick on the uptake. It's illegal to make money. You can't make money. You just simply got to ask, who's got my money? In other words, over the years, what I've learned to add to my set of skills or develop is the selling aspect, the reaching out into the marketplace and grabbing a hold of that money. So that's the first thing I'm going to ask myself right now. Most likely, in terms of the area that I'll go into, it's still going to be some area in physics, right? So if I'm going to start from scratch again, it's going to be some kind of physics related thing still. But the thing I will do quicker is I'll immediately go to the place where I can get the money fast. In other words, just like my buddy Miguel did, I will probably, if I decide to go back into, let's say, structural engineering again, I will probably start by getting a certification in HVAC or something, because I want to get that 80 grand right now, because I can start work while I'm going to college. I can be an 80 grand a year dude, doing HVAC, right? And working with my hands, understanding, because again, it's who's got my money, right? And I'll
Yep.
probably have an HVAC company by the time I graduate from school with my engineering degree. I'll be asking that question more upfrontly. Who has got my money? Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. In my case, for example, if I go for a particular job in a particular company called Microsoft, I will be getting $20,000 a month by not doing much. Why? Because the market in Africa at the moment is getting big. There's not that skilled people that they want, researchers with PhDs and also skills in programming. So therefore, I put myself in the top of the sphere. I make connections with people in that company who can give me number of recruiters who then have my CV and they ask me whenever you're ready, come, etc., etc., etc. So to answer other people's questions like Dr. Thunder and um, adult supervision is, yeah, without action, really exposing yourself, putting yourself closer to the actual edge of where everything is happening, you won't get that far. You still have to interact with the kind of chaos around yourself and expose yourself. Put yourself out there, make the right connections, and be willing to make connections as well, right? Don't just stick to people that you know. Get yourself a passport, go and explore. Don't just remain in a small town saying, oh, there's not that much jobs here. Well, yeah, because you're doing a niche thing in a very particular thing that particular town hasn't caught up in. Go and chase some money, especially if you're a young man out there without much responsibilities apart from your own future. Grab hold of your opportunities and put yourself in the wrestling ring of life.
So, Chacha boy, again, we are changing the focus to who. That is what I will be doing now. Knowing what I know now is I would move from the what to the who. Not that I'm not going to do a what, right? I said, oh yeah, I'm going to go through the whole process again, get certifications and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to be asking questions like who, right? And reaching out to people. And if I'm deficient in my ability to reach out to people, because I don't know you, Chacha boy, you may be one of those naturally gregarious people who likes to just talk to people and slap their backs, right? But if you're not that, then you need to fix that. Okay. Now, growing up, we're told don't talk to strangers, or all kinds of strange things like that. Like everybody out there is going to be Charles Manson, right? They're going to kill you. Everyone out there is a sociopath, psychopath. No, 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 no. Everything that you want, somebody else has it. Okay.
Yep.
And you need to, I would flip that switch quicker into getting close to the money. And that means getting close to somebody. Okay.
Yep.
Because there's not a tree, it's not underground, it's not oil. Okay. Even if I wanted to
And
dig
the
oil, I got to get to
thing
the money
here,
at the bank. Right. Go
I
ahead.
think we've got to remind everyone here, especially ourselves, is that whenever you get close to someone, make sure you offer them a service that they want. Like any kind of market, give people what they want. If the person is mentoring you and kind of showing you how the space works, work for them for free. Like, just, what I mean by that is people might come for me for this, but if it's just being around them close enough, knowing how they do trading, if you want to be a trader, or if you want to know how the transport industry works, be close enough to that person and offer them work, your time. If you want to kind of overcome that 80% and go into 20, once you know the skills of how the transportation business works, you can operate it by yourself, because this is not hard, right? It takes hard work, but it's not hard. Hard is doing some research degree that you don't know anything about, or if it's even going to succeed. The path is actually clear. Making money is a clear path. The issue is it's going to be hard work, but it's not hard. It just takes the
In
willingness to interact and engage.
Okay, the thumbnail says decide or commit. Okay. And I want to take a step there to say something about that. And then we're going to get into, well, this getting close to the money thing, right? Because at some point I learned that. I want to continue that journey of mine after I got the, shall we say, engineering thing. Okay. And how I decide, because one person told me get the PE, and there was
Right.
somebody else who told me get close to the money. Okay.
Right.
But the commit thing is a rather interesting thing in the sense that a lot of times people want to, and I think this goes to Dr. Thunder's, or I can relate it to Dr. Thunder's question. Dr. Thunder talked about, well, there are all these people with all the certificates and stuff, and they're still broke, right? And you took the aspect of maybe they have the wrong kinds of certifications. Or maybe they don't. Maybe they do have the right kind of certifications, but they have not decided. Now, there's something that's rather
Right.
interesting about hypnosis. Hypnosis, when it comes to helping you quit cigarettes or lose weight, only works 20% of the time.
Right.
And
80/20 rule, huh?
interesting, right? Interesting. But it's like, well, that's what people tend to go to hypnotists for, right? So it's this difficult thing that where you have to overcome.
Yep.
In other words, it's an internal struggle, right? It's an internal struggle. I need to quit cigarettes. I need to lose weight. I'm going to go to the hypnotist, but it only works 20% of the time. Do you know why? Do you know why? Can anybody guess why? Well, guess what? It's because it's only about 20% of the people that have decided that they actually want to quit.
Right.
Okay? It's only
They've
about
committed.
20% of the people that they've committed that they want to quit. Hence, the tool is going to work. Okay?
Right.
The tool is at that point is just an excuse. It's just like a vehicle, just a way of getting there. They have decided. So when you talk about, hey, I'm going to overcome the 80/20 rule, I cannot overemphasize the importance of making the decision. A lot of times people are asking for a recipe, right? I'm very averse towards giving people recipes, as you know, Dr. K Polymath. Like, because I'm like, dude, there's the thousand cookbooks out there with a
Yep.
thousand recipes for the thousand ways to get
Yeah.
into a thousand different fields. That is not the problem, bro. The
No.
problem is you haven't made a decision. The
Yep.
problem is you have not decided.
Let me
And
ask
the
you a
question
question.
is, why have you not decided? Go ahead.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. So, when is it that you discovered that actually you can more or less achieve anything you want in this world, since most systems are created by people, not much more, if at all, intelligent than you. So when did you decide just focusing, like even in school, like studying, like if you just study, if you just focus, if you just give your whole, at some point you will succeed. When did you come? Because I think that's something that's not so clear. Some of us, we have insecurities of feeling like, okay, even the fear of trying, because if we fail, is going to injure our ego. So when did you realize, A, the ego doesn't matter too much because, hey, you fail sometimes, you succeed many other times, and but when did you know that actually all is achievable with commitment, time, effort, and loop, meaning going around until it succeeds? When did you get that revelation? Because it's actually not so common. Many of us have insecurities.
All of us have insecurities. And perhaps, what? Is that a wrong
Well,
statistical
yeah,
statement?
all of us do, but you know what I mean, that crippling insecurity that most people have, that they, stops them from making that action.
Okay. So, in case you haven't noticed, I'm a black albino, right? So I've always from time immemorial, from what I as far as I could remember, been different. And how did I notice that? I noticed that through the actions of other people,
Hmm.
the behavior of other people.
Hmm.
And it is through the insecurity or one okay, let me not let me put it down in terms of actual let me not write a textbook about it. I was about to give some very finely phrased paragraph that was not going to tell anybody anything. So growing up as a kid, right, we know how kids are. So kids are rather mean to each other, and people are tribal by nature.
Right.
People will
You say tribal
find
or tribal? Go ahead.
tribal, group like. People want to join a particular clique, whatever. They want to be part of that group, some group or the other, in a cafeteria in high
Good.
school.
Right.
And this is just natural, the natural tendency of people. And
Right.
people will find any difference. So people talking about racism or this ism or that ism. It doesn't matter what it is, bruh.
Yep.
If the difference between people was that some people have a dot on the left side of their head and other people have a dot on the right side of their head, that'll be the thing
Yep.
that people will be killing each other about.
Yep. You got
Okay?
that dot on the wrong side of your head.
You've got that dot on the wrong side of your head.
Yep.
You got the wrong color of the flag in the back of your pocket. You've got the wrong. Why?
Yeah.
Because these silly people want to go into their little cocoon. Okay, so kids are mean. People are tribal. So you can imagine growing up in Africa, Nigeria, being this white thing.
Hey,
Okay, and it's not like people don't know this, what you are.
Oyibo.
They know that they have words for it.
What you
Okay,
call it,
they have
Oyibo?
words. They have mean words. Oyibo is actually probably one of the good ones because Oyibo just means white
Oh,
man, right?
okay. Right.
But they have meaner words. They have songs that they will sing
Are you
about you.
serious?
Yeah.
Wait. Are you serious? Yeah, I'm laughing out of it's more like an uncomfortable, nervous laugh more than anything else. That sounds
Oh,
crazy.
doesn't matter what the laughter is for. But I thought you grew up in Africa too, but maybe it's different in East Africa.
I
Um,
Well, East Africa, we don't even know that albinos exist. Unless you go to
okay.
Tanzania where they're not treated so well. But in Kenya,
The
if you came here,
East,
they'll just think
mhm.
you're a white man. They're just like, oh,
East
that's a
Africans
white
are
man.
weird like that.
Yeah.
But so they have the songs that they will sing. In other words, I, from a very young age, was was forced to be acutely aware of my separateness,
Mm.
and at the same time was a blessing in the sense that I was acutely aware of the need of people over there to feel that tribal bond. In other words, when I saw those people pointing and laughing at me, I saw immediately that they felt safe and they felt good about themselves because of that. What I'm saying is, I was blessed to clearly see the whole human animal game play out right before me, and not to and realize that people are just what they are, right? Nothing
So
really
basically,
special.
you became disillusioned to the social glues that keep groups together.
So you
And
couldn't ever tell me, this person made this rule, I can't do this. You can't. I'm like, it's
right,
you and
right.
those other idiots out there with your stupid laughing and your, I know you, all of you. Nothing special about any of you. You can't tell
so
me
let me
nothing.
So the idea, for example, I've seen this happen several times. People think, let's say, fat people should date only fat people. Skinny people should, people who look like you, sound like you, or act like you somehow should only interact with each other, or there's some kind of hierarchy that you have to sort of exist within. Did that play into you in your early teenagehood? I don't know, did you feel like, okay, you know what, some of these guys are bullying, well, at least they think they're bullying me, right? I think at this point they weren't really bullying you, right? So did you ever think, hey, I need to see someone who looks like me in order to see myself as successful? Yeah, how did you overcome?
Now,
For
the thing
example, I'm
is,
guessing, did you
okay,
have
go ahead.
many different people? Did you have foreigners where you
No,
grew up? So it's just mostly you, right?
it was me. I don't
Right.
know any other albinos. Never actually
Yeah.
know. I don't have in the whole. Can you look up the percentage of the world's
In
population that's
Nigeria,
actually?
yeah, the highest
Okay,
is
look
Tanzania,
at Nigeria.
actually.
Highest
East
is
Africa.
Tanzania, but what's the
Let me see.
percentage in Nigeria? And then look up the world,
Okay, let's
and
see.
you'll see that okay, it's not that many. So to begin to answer your question, the question is well, needing to see people whom look like you. Well, number one, I didn't really have the choice, right? Of like hoping or wishing. But number two, I don't think I can't really claim credit for it because I just think my personality was never the kind that needed to see anything. Again, what I do remember seeing was people, right, in a very real way and doing the tribal dance that they do. Hence, there was nothing that could come out of that group of people telling me about rules and this and that and what I can and cannot do that I could take seriously, because I just kind of know what we are, you know? And that is what never put any kind of block in front of me. Here's another thing, okay? With the albinism comes other disadvantages, right?
Right.
Some may say advantage,
Yeah, it's
which
one in
the whole point is
17,000.
1 in 17,000. What's that? What's that percentage?
Yeah, that's a very low percentage. That's all I can say.
Okay. 1 in 17,000 people. Okay. So I don't know any other person like me. Okay. So the point is this: there are many disadvantages that then become advantages if you're lucky, right? So basically, all these disadvantages, whether it be the poor eyesight or, hey, sub-Saharan African heat, bit problematic, right? It's not really the
Yeah.
heat; it's the sun. Let's not
Right,
make
right.
it's
The
not the
UV
heat; it's the
base,
sun.
right? Yeah.
It's the UV rays, right? Because people are like, oh, isn't it hot? It's like it's not the heat; it's the sun.
No, it's ultraviolet A and B or
Yeah.
whatever they're
So
called.
even if you're snowboarding at the top of Mount Baldy in California and it's a nice bright day and it's freezing, you'll still get burnt, right? Uh, Especially the reflection from the snow. There's
Yep.
that snow sunburn thing too, which is a different kind of thing. So you have all these different kinds of challenges, but I had to overcome them, right? And when you overcome, winning is very important, is what I'm saying. Number one, because your question is again, to rephrase your question is, how did I overcome and how did I continue to overcome? How did I see myself as somebody like, okay, you know what, I could pass through that door into the 20%, and I could pass through that door into the 5%, and I could pass through that door into the 1% and all that kind of stuff, right? Well, basically, it's winning. Once you get one win, guess what? When somebody comes to you and be like, hey, man, I hate basketball. I want to quit this. Da, 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 da. That's because they just failed at basketball, right? Or you know what? To hell with these women and the dating and they're all horrible. Guess what? Guess because some relationships just failed, right? Red pill rage. When people fail, they tend to quit. Their dream tends to kind of wither away a little bit. Okay, winning has the opposite effect. I was forced into having to win, right? Because the opposite will be in the graveyard right now, right?
Right.
Because I'm not saying that you have to win with challenges. I'm not an idiot, but I'm here, therefore I won, right? And
Right. Right.
therefore I was forced to start winning at an early age. And when you start winning, when you can overcome the kinds of challenges, there's nothing. You're like, what the hell you guys are talking? What are you talking about? What is all these little things? Because they're challenges that I had to overcome, some of which I can't even share with you right now because it's like
Yeah.
there's some things I can't quite share because it might put some salt in my game. But suffice it to say, I had to overcome challenges early and real challenges. Therefore, I never quite saw any of these other things as a big deal. In addition to the fact that I saw human beings in the social game in a stark way, in a negative way, very quickly. So I had to that was the first thing I overcame. Let's put it that way. I overcame that. I was like, oh, you guys are over there. Okay, stay over there. That was what I did. I'm like, you guys just stay right there. Okay? Stay
Don't
there.
come any closer.
It just, I get okay. Don't worry about it. I
Okay,
got
so
this.
basically, what you said is that adversity can actually help someone overcome certain challenges because they get used to, or rather, they get disillusioned to some of the glues that they think are so strong that they cannot be removed. And I think in your case, although you've suffered a lot of adversity in the beginning, it's actually helped you dissociate yourself from certain preconditions that people generally have. Like, I can't do this because of X, Y, and Z, because you've been doing these things since forever. So to you, it just doesn't make sense when people put arbitrary roadblocks. You're like, that's not a roadblock. That's just a small log. I can just pick it up and move it and then continue driving, right?
Yeah. And it definitely dovetails with the whole thing about committing and deciding, right? So yeah, because if it's like a muscle, which most of these things are analogous to, the decide muscle, the commit muscle, the I can do it muscle, you got to train it. Okay. You asked me about my personal situation and I gave you my answer. You, each and every one of you listening to this, has something similar in your life that you can reference and use to continue. The fact that you're listening to this stream is an example of the fact, or shall we say, the fact that you're listening to the stream points to the fact that you do kind of think and want to decide or want to move in a particular direction. And you probably have done it over and over before, some more than others, right? But the whole idea is committing and deciding tends to be the issue. But let's get back to the money. Let's get back to the money, okay? So, boss of mine, Anthony Rubalcava at International Seismic Application Technologies, which I was working for at the time, at Elephant Bar in La Mirada, California. Okay, I learned how to tell stories like this from Patrick Bet David, by the way. And all these things are skills. Communication is a skill, by the way. Doing
Right.
things like Anthony Rubalcava, it gets people like, anyways. That's
Right.
So
Yes,
he
that's
told me that day, I remember actually what I was eating, okay, for lunch, but he told me that the main thing that one has to do is get close to the money, right? In other words, how do you make more money here at ISAT? Well, get close to the money. I was a cubicle engineer at this point. I started my engineering company just because I have always had that entrepreneurial spirit, I guess. Back in boarding school, I used to sell, I used to go out and get contraband type stuff, like stuff you were not allowed, like Indomie noodles at that time, just, little
Oh, right. Yeah.
noodles. You're
30
not
cent
supposed to have
noodles.
that stuff. You could double, you could double your money, right? In terms of you buy that stuff and you sell it within. I
Yeah.
look only now with benefit of hindsight to realize, oh, I've kind of been always wanting to do stuff,
Right.
because I never saw myself that way. I never saw myself, or even up till now, see myself as an entrepreneur. I don't see myself that way at all. But it just, but I've always been doing it, so somehow. So, point is, I started the company, right, and I had this one client, the uh, Ted Johnson Propane, okay, propane tanks and their foundations, okay, doing the structural analysis for them for the propane tank anchorage and the foundation, right, seismic stuff, okay. But I was still, that was just a little bit of money, right, at the time, right. I'm just this guy just using his stamp to stamp stuff, a little bit of money. My main gig was still with this company I was working for, and Anthony Rubalcava was my boss, and we're talking about money, and it was like, you got to get close to the money. What was Anthony Rubalcava saying? What was he telling me? Okay, he was close to the money. That's why he was getting paid, the 250,000 he was getting paid at the time or something like that, right? He was close to the money, meaning that the owners of the company could see the direct link between him and the money.
Right.
If you are just an engineer, you're like a keyboard. I know I need a keyboard, but it's a utility, it's an overhead, I get another keyboard. I'll get another computer. I'll get another
Right.
piece of software. I get another light. It doesn't matter. It's a light bulb. You're just something in there. I don't see the direct link between the keyboard and the money. But when you are close to the money, what's the closest to the money? A sales guy, for example.
Right.
When a sales guy comes in and be like, I just got to deal with this new client, blah, blah, blah. You as the owner, you can't help but notice that money comes from Jeff. Okay? Jeff brought in that client. Jeff is looked at very differently as from a keyboard, right? Jeff ain't no keyboard. I need the keyboard and I need Jeff, but I treat Jeff very differently than I treat the keyboard. The keyboard is just the engineer, he just does the work. But Jeff, don't go, Jeff. What do you want, Jeff? What do you need, Jeff? Right? Be Jeff in one way or the other. That clicked in my head. And that's when I started making the transition to get out of the cubicle, expand my own business, right? And then go into the construction equipment selling industry, right? Learn those soft skills, right? And get into the world whereby it's performance based. You kill what you eat. People see the direct link between you and the money coming in. And there's a lot of job security and also a lot more money to be made and skills to be had, networks to be and connections to be made, on and on and on and on and on. Get close to the money. That was kind of like my personal story there in terms of getting close to the money. But anyways, K Polymath, what other things could we add in terms of certifications? In terms of perhaps we could look at future trends now. Maybe some people want to be ambitious. But like, okay, how do I don't just want a certification and then make a company and maybe make it into $1 million company. Maybe I want to be a billionaire. Okay.
Oh,
Go ahead,
billionaire,
tell
huh?
them what. Yeah, they want to be a
You want to be
Billy
the
killer. Shout
zero
out to
point zero zero 0.001%.
exactly. They
Okay,
want to be a
okay.
billionaire. What's the move?
Yeah, so billionaire here is the best and easiest way is to solve social problems. Figure out what's missing in the world and then solve that problem. So let's say tech, right? You have got your web development um, gig. Now learn how to do software development in general. Be able to make apps, for example. And then if you have an issue, solve an issue that is socially aware. So if you want to make the big bucks, you have to be able to perceive the future. An example, so let's give a real example. Right now, the world, especially with the vegans and everybody else, and just the way that the spirit of the world is going, is that we don't want to be seen as toxic. Again, notice perception. Perception and reality, the perception is more important than reality. We don't want to look like we are purposely injuring our planet and causing pollutions and toxicity. So what the point here is, if you want to be a billionaire, you've got to go and even use the soft skills Ike's talking about, like sales, and go work for and start your own solar technology company. Look at the things that are inadvertently going to be the next steps. Battery technology, right? Invest in these things. For example, Tesla and all companies similar to that in battery technology, companies that are going to be doing solar technology. These are the things of the future. And if you're there, being able to service people, right? Either it's installations or sales to big companies, etc., providing certain services, this allows you to be able to get that extra level of money. Maybe financing people that can't afford to pay the whole thing altogether. That whole sector, especially with the
Material
batteries,
sciences.
right? Material sciences, right? Go understand how it works. Go become that middleman, technical sales agent. Then start your own company in this kind of field. This is where the billionaires come in.
None of this is heart surgery or brain
Yeah,
surgery
right.
or rocket science, as they used to say,
Nope.
right?
Yes.
It is actually not that crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go back to the whole commitment thing again.
Yep.
There is a reason there's a reason the 80% of people who go to the hypnotist to try to quit smoking or lose weight, there's a reason they actually haven't committed to losing the weight. And that is the problem that they have to solve. But for that, we can go into our Mastery of Subjective Consciousness timeline. Go ahead and check out my meditation series and my playlist to get into your head a little bit and as to what exactly is stopping you. And be okay. I made it seem like some kind of thing whereby it's a one-time thing. No, there's going to be something stopping you every day. It's a continual process
Yep.
of shaking that thing away. And literally, it is what I just did. Okay. You just simply have to. Dogs do it, right?
Yeah.
Ducks do it too. When something crazy happens, they finish fighting. What do? They shake it off. Okay? You got to shake the stuff off. It's not real. The stuff that's stopping you is not real. In this, well, yeah, let's not get into the definition of real. But what I mean is, it is the kind of real that you can shake off. Okay? It's another kind of, people like to say also it's in your head type stuff. Okay? But I like to say it's in your body. right? Because the in your head thing is gets a little psychobabbly, and people think maybe I got to sit down and think or do some kind of crazy mental gymnastics. No, it's in your body. There's a feeling in your body that is stopping you from doing certain things. Can I get a one in the chat if that makes sense? There is a feeling in your body that is stopping you from going up to her and asking her for the number, for example. There's a feeling in your body that's stopping you from talking to a stranger and asking either for help or, hey, how can I help you? Or, shall we say, as we were talking about before, getting close to the money and offering some kind of service. There is a sinking sensation in the stomach. It's not in Pluto. It's not in the parking lot. It's in your stomach. Why do I say that? I say that to make it real in a certain sense so that you can then shake it off. Because when you notice this in your stomach, you're like, okay, stretch that out. And I guess that's all it is. It is not some god somewhere or some demon, with the puppet strings trying to tie. No, it's in your stomach, it's in your neck, it's in the heart, it's in the hairs raising up, it's the temperature of the back of your neck rising. If you can just notice that that's where it's at, then you are already miles towards, you've taken miles, that is, many, many, many steps towards mastering the things that hold us back. If I challenge you, I'll give anybody $10,000 whom can tell me some other place where these particular obstacles manifest themselves if it's not in your body. If you can prove to me that it's in the parking lot or it's in Mars or it's in your mother's bedroom or something, or it's in the mind of some blah, 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 I'll give you $10,000. But no, it's in your body. And you can learn to master your body. And you can learn to shake it off and then go on. And the next day you wake up and you feel this, and you shake it off and you go on. Closing thoughts as we start to wrap this up, because we don't want this to be too long, because we want to be poignant, we want to be, shall we say, practical and so on and so forth. Any other billion-dollar ideas that you may have? Because again, we could do the traditional way. After you get that HVAC company, then you start investing in real estate. Start out with 16 units and then go to 32 units and blah blah blah, and then next thing you're a billionaire, right?
Yeah. Next one is rather simple, risky but simple. Do what Dangote did, right? You know who Dangote is, correct?
I do know, but maybe the audience doesn't know.
Richest billionaire. So what you do is you go there and invest in development. There's so many countries out there in the world that require investors. If you go connect people to certain services, especially this burgeoning middle class over there, developing kind of more higher end buildings, apartments, going into that kind of construction thing where you build them, you get the contractors, you get the investors, and you sell them or rent them, you're going to be making $1 billion quite soon from that sort of construction industry in countries that aren't quite developed. Because why? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Everybody wants to look good, feel good, and be seen as the high-end successful people, right? Statistically speaking. So you're going to be providing a service to those people who are going to be willing to pay top dollar to be able to live that lifestyle. That's just another simple example, but you need a passport, you need to get international bank in order to kind of expose yourself to these opportunities. Another thing out here is you can go there and support people who you think have the potential and be their mentor, and then just be the guy who does all that connecting stuff. So what I mean is find some tech genius, young, swift basketball connoisseur, go out there and help him, focus on his thing, and then you can be managing the company that you guys built together. So find like-minded people and then find easy, solvable solutions. The other thing here, obviously, is look into the future, right? For example, Amazon data centers, right? Land is expensive in America. That's where most of the data centers are. Hey, finding a country which has cheap land that you can lease, right, to build these data centers that you're going to go approach these companies for. You can even do like a third party Amazon / Microsoft data center that you contract for them, yet you're paying like almost nothing for the land, right? You only have to pay for this sort of building. And if you choose a country that doesn't have seismic activities, you don't have to pay Ike to be able there. So you can actually find cheap land, build these data centers. As long as there's a fiber optic connectivity, that's it. So
you can build them with trailers, by the way. There's modularity to this. You can have these trailers and out there building data centers, mining some obscure crypto.
Yep. Exactly, right? You can even connect them into a network. So the point is, the data center one makes a lot of sense. You go and you sell the data to Amazon. You don't even have to be an Amazon data center. You're an independent contractor that provides basically data capabilities that if Amazon runs out, not if, when they run out, they'll be able to come in and look at your data center that you've built, acres and acres, thousands of acres worth of this stuff. And you can't go wrong here because the population of people is growing more. We're getting higher technology like 4K videos, right? 8K videos, 16K videos, whatever it is. We're getting more data just in general, like we're collecting all sorts of information. So you're not going to go wrong, right? The supply of data centers is much less than the actual, the demand for it is a lot more than the supply is right now. Another thing is steel, right? Steel, another building block. Go into, again, material science. If you can go there and start working in alloys and steels and all that stuff, whether you're just a guy who's connecting people with the money, you're going to make a lot of money in that stuff. But at this point, realistically speaking, if you want to be a billionaire, it's unlikely you're going to focus on only one thing. To be a billionaire, you got to do the sort of like either get lucky or, I say lucky, but anyways, or do the Elon Musk thing where you start with one, PayPal, then you go into another one, Tesla, then you go into SpaceX. You diversify your interests or investments, and then some of them are going to shoot right up. But you got to be willing to make all these moves. But definitely, if you're focused, you're committed. I'm going to be one of these guys too. I'm going to be trying to be this billionaire. I'm not just saying it, for the sake of saying it. Mark our words, in a few years' time, if I'm not living with my own private country, not an island, my own private country, I'm not there yet.
And you're definitely not gonna get there focusing on these hoes, bitch ass niggas. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I had to do it. I've behaved myself so much throughout the whole stream. But I gotta give him a little bit of Ike FI, that sense of disgust and that kind of, oh my God, the putrid masses and your bullshit and the stupid things they focus on. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. You have to develop a sense of disgust for the mundane, for the not the mundane, what's that middle thing? It's not just the average,
mediocre.
The mediocre, right? That is partly why a lot of people have not made the commitment, because they're fine with the mediocre. They're fine with watching the next episode of whatever the bullshit crap is on TV, drinking mediocre crap with the rest of their mediocre, stupid friends. That's what that's what's keeping you back, okay? And if I've just offended you, well then, F you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are out.
I travel by night and I travel by day. I feel the breeze, I feel the call, and I see the gravel and the grass by the way. I hear birds and they're mating call, but toll on the road, it's a small price to pay. Small price to pay for the saving of the race. That's so I say, people, what you waiting for? Take one and leave one and take it to go. Make a decision and get on the road. Open your vision for the sun to shine on. Bamboo and acorn and a letter I wrote. Big ones and small ones and a pipe for a toe. The rhythms of time is the horse I ride on. I travel by night and I travel by day. Feel the breeze, I and their mating call. The toll on the road is a small price to pay, small price to pay for the saving of the race. And so I say, aye, 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 aye. People, what you waiting for? Will there be raindrops and rainbows so clear? Perhaps some snow angels, maybe a bear. Anticipation in the heart casts a fog upon the road. How far till the train stop? I wish I was there. I glance at the paper just to be clear. All the coming and the going that will be once was foretold. I travel by night and I travel by day. Feel the breeze, I feel the call. And I see the gravel and the grass by the way. I hear birds and their mating call. The toll on the road is a small price to pay, a small price to pay for the saving of the race. And so I say, aye, 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 aye. People, what you waiting for? Sha-na-na-na no, sha-na-na-na-ne, sha-na-na-na-no, sha-na-na-na-ne, sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-no. Sha-na-na-na-no, sha-na-na-na-ne, sha-na-na-na-no, sha-na-na-na-ne, sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. I travel by night and I travel by day. Feel the breeze, I feel the call. And I see the gravel and the grass by the way. I hear birds and their mating call. The toll on the road is a small price to pay, a small price to pay for the saving of the race. And so I say, aye, 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 aye. People, what you waiting for?